With the F1 2022 season drawing to its half, we've seen some major developments happen during this time, be it the almost news of Verstappen winning the title or Daniel Ricciardo losing his seat. This season has been a roller coaster for all, but apart from the highs and the lows, we recently got news of the young talent Zhou Guanyu extending his contract. So sit back as we tell you all about it. First up, Zhou is not surprised by the contract extension. Zhou Guanyu believes his contract extension with Alfa Romeo was always guaranteed. It was announced ahead of this weekend's Singapore Grand Prix that Alfa had exercised its option to retain Zhou's services until 2023 after he made his F1 breakthrough at the season-opening Bahrain race, scoring points and then putting in a string of impressive performances. Given his early F1 career success, the confirmation of Zhou's rookie deal was widely expected in the paddock, but the dramatic 2022 driver market silly season supposed his seat alongside Valtteri Bottas for the following year was unofficially listed as open for contenders seeking new F1 homes, such as soon-to-be ex-McLaren driver Daniel Ricciardo. When asked by Motorsport.com at an event being held at Alfa sponsor Puma's main Singapore store if he had any doubts about staying with his current team, Zhou replied, "To be honest, no. I mean, there was some uncertainty at the start of the season because I wasn't sure how my first rookie season would go, but it actually went pretty well." The Chinese F1 debutant also stated that Alfa Romeo is very happy with the objectives that they were able to achieve so far in this season, and also with the potential his driving has shown. Zhou mentioned that despite his initial reservations about continuing with the team, he was sure as the season progressed that the team would opt to go with him into the next season. The driver was no less than ecstatic when the news of his extension was made public by the team ahead of the historic Singapore Grand Prix. Next up, team principal speaks highly of his driver. Alfa team boss Frédéric Vasseur has also stated that it was never one single thing that convinced his team that keeping Zhou as a partner for Bottas was the best option, but rather a combination of Zhou's accolades. Vasseur stated that Zhou's initial goal with Alfa was to deliver good results in Q2. Since the first race, the driver has led the field and scored as many points as his car allows. The Alfa Romeo boss also emphasized the driver's progress, stating that back in Monza, Zhou even made it to Q3 and scored some important points for the team. Another noteworthy point raised by Vasseur was the Chinese driver's behind-the-scenes contribution to the team. He told the media that he gets along well with all of the employees at the factory and that his collaboration with teammate Bottas has been excellent. Moving on, what else was discussed at the press talk? Aside from discussing the young driver's extension and accolades, the team also answered some other questions. Some of them mentioned Zhou trailing Bottas in terms of WDC points. While Zhou has had an impressive start to his F1 career, his 6-point total from 16 races is 40 points behind Bottas's. Early season reliability issues hampered the rookie during a period when Alfa dominated much of its midfield competition. This was largely due to the C42 being the only car to begin the season at the minimum weight limit, which meant that its advantages were stripped away when other teams were able to lighten their machines. While addressing the concern over Zhou's point scoring, the team principal stated that there have been some issues in terms of reliability. Vasseur also mentioned that the lowest point of the season so far for the debutant was in Miami, where he was set to score some points, but unfortunately had to retire due to a water pump issue. He said that was a shame for the team as Zhou's race was compromised, but he still has a long way to go, and the team is focusing on the future. All in all, the team showed absolute confidence in Zhou's abilities, while also mentioning that the driver is aware of his areas of weakness. It's safe to say that it won't be long before he drives in a championship-winning car. Let's also look at Zhou leaving his crash behind him. We all remember the rookie Chinese driver crashing horribly on the first lap of this year's Silverstone Grand Prix. It's understandable for a driver to lose confidence after one of F1's most shocking crashes, but that's not the case for Zhou Guanyu. On the opening lap of the British Grand Prix in July, F1 2022's sole rookie suffered a massive shunt after being sandwiched between Pierre Gasly and George Russell. Zhou's car flipped upside down and skated across the tarmac and gravel before crashing into the barriers and catch fencing. Zhou, who worried his car would catch fire with him stuck inside, miraculously survived the sickening 160 mph smash. The 23-year-old paid tribute to the Halo cockpit protection device and expressed surprise that he survived the incident. However, in a recent interview, the driver stated that the accident is now behind him. He also stated the fact that there was a race weekend right after that aided him in moving on much faster than people would have expected. It's easily the most terrifying crash that we got to see in this season, but thanks to the Halo, Zhou was unharmed. In the interview, the driver also admitted that he has now stopped himself from watching the replays constantly and is now solely focusing on what lies ahead of him in the season. Now, in other news, the Chinese driver speaks about how Hamilton has been his ally. Lewis Hamilton, who is known for his warm gestures to others on the track, in addition to being a fantastic driver, has done the same with Zhou Guanyu. Zhou believes he has an ally in Lewis Hamilton after the 7-time world champion's assistance during his rookie F1 season. In a recent interview, Zhou expressed his respect and admiration for Hamilton, whom he referred to as one of the greats to ever exist in motorsport. Hamilton's approach to dealing with pressure, according to the young driver, is insane. While Hamilton has not revealed any of his success secrets, Zhou revealed that the Briton congratulated him on his point-scoring debut in Bahrain. During Thursday's media duties in Austria, Hamilton was also seen checking in with Zhou, just nights after Zhou withstood a terrifying airborne crash at the British Grand Prix. It's always nice to see such gestures between drivers in the paddock. Another noteworthy point raised by Zhou was how Hamilton's distinct driving style has allowed him to express himself more freely. Isn't that adorable? Moving along, Albon is finally fit to race ahead of Singapore GP. After completing practice on his first day back on track following a medical emergency, Williams' Alex Albon asserted himself fit to race in the Singapore Grand Prix. He developed a respiratory failure 3 weeks ago following an appendectomy and spent nearly 24 hours in intensive care on a ventilator. Albon admitted that he was at his limit, but after jumping in for a practice, he knows he's ready for the weekend. Albon finished 16th, 1.4 seconds faster than teammate Nicholas Latifi. The driver also stated that his body was still weaker than usual because he was recovering from the normal consequences of the surgery. Albon, who was born in London but races under a Thai license, stated that he was under no pressure from Williams to return. They could have used Mercedes reserve driver Nick de Vries as a stand-in, as they did in Monza, but that he would always try to race in Singapore if he could, and as it stands, we're certain to see him in action after a long pause. Lastly, we look at Red Bull deny speculations of breaching the budget cap. Before Friday's Singapore Grand Prix practice, rumors circulated that 2 of the 10 teams on the grid had exceeded the $145 million budget cap and could face sanctions from the governing body FIA. Red Bull was being blamed for exceeding cost limits by introducing part upgrades as they propelled Max Verstappen to his first world championship. Horner told Sky Sports F1 that he trusted the FIA's process, noting that the governing body's findings would be published next week and teams would be certified as compliant. Last season was the first time the cap was worn. The FIA's report will be released next week with a variety of punishments available to the FIA, including fines and championship point deductions, depending on the severity of any budget cap breach. Horner, on the other hand, was confident in his team's submission and stated that rumors will always exist. It would be worth mentioning here that Aston Martin is also speculated to have crossed their budget cap. However, with Red Bull being the #1 team this season, it seems as if they will take the spotlight here. Nonetheless, if anything is proven, it can be detrimental for the team who has outclassed its opponents this season. That's a wrap for this video. What do you guys think the remaining F1 season will bring along with it? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.